Gideon, I'm not hearing any sounds, just FYI.
Future. Over 20 million Nigerian children are currently out of school. That is 1 in every 5 school-age children in sub-Saharan Africa. And many of those who do attend school are not learning. My name is Molade Adeni, and I am the CEO of Teach for Nigeria. Teach for Nigeria exists to address the deep-seated educational inequities affecting millions of children across the country. As a non-profit organization and part of the global Teach for All network, we are committed to ensuring that every Nigerian child, regardless of their socio-economic background, has access to an excellent education. As a country, we have come a very long way, and we have made giant strides when it comes to education access and equity. This has been possible through collaboration with the public and private sector. However, we still have a long way to go. Children and teachers still face a host of interconnected challenges that significantly hinder learning and teaching. Some of this include overcrowded classrooms, lack of basic infrastructure such as chairs, tables, toilets, lack of learning materials that are scarce in some places. The result is a learning crisis. Children go to school but leave without the skills needed to succeed in life. At Teach for Nigeria, we believe that addressing these challenges requires investment, reform, and a renewed societal commitment to treating education as a national policy. Moving around, moving around, moving around. The basket of number is moving around. What number is this? Or therefore, don't let that easy.
I remember my first day in classroom with my learners. I noticed that some of my learners could not identify letters, some could not read, and some could not even speak English fluently. I saw it as a call to responsibility, and I saw the need to do my best while I'm with them.
Your confusions are, all I know is that I am going to do great.
My name is Titilola Amosun, a 2024 fellow at Teach for Nigeria.
We have a strong belief that no child should be left behind. And that's why inclusive education is at the very heart of what we do. Our fellows are breaking barriers. They're
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone, and good morning if you are joining us from, uh, the continent, from whether from America, Asia, even from the Antarctica. However, we're live from Lagos, Nigeria, and today we're doing very something special at Teach for Nigeria, which is the student leadership webinar. May it's the month of children, and May is the month of students at Teach for Nigeria. And just listen to the video from the Chief Executive Officer of Teach for Nigeria that said that Teach for Nigeria, and we believe that no child should be left behind. And that's one of the main reasons why we've come together to put forward and give you this excellent webinar for today, titled Reclaiming Nigeria's Learning Future. And in the next few minutes, we're going to be listening to a keynote speech from a renowned and experienced education professional and human capital development professional, as well as, array of different panelists that we've put together from policy to teacher's perspective to student perspective, and into to our alumni and community voice to see what is happening about the learning situation and education situation in Nigeria. My name is Gideon Ogunfeyimi. I serve as the Marketing and Communications Coordinator at Teach for Nigeria, and I'm really excited to welcome you to this May edition of the Teach for Nigeria YouTube Live series, where we usually discuss thought-provoking subject topics in education and human capital development. At this point, I understand that we have a lot of us joining us on YouTube. Please, as you join us, as you're engaging the chat, please share with us where are you joining us from. What are you looking forward to discussing today? What are some questions that you have? What are some concerns that you want to be discussed today? And we're very sure that our panelists, our keynote speaker are ready to share from the wealth of experience with you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I can see the chat buzzing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see a lot of messages. I've seen that, oh, I'm excited for today. Oh, I've listened to the keynote speaker before and I'm excited to listen to her again. Oh, that's amazing. It means that we had the right choice for you. Okay. I also see Wale saying that, oh, I had a child that had the exam this year and I'm looking forward to sharing my experience. Oh, that is good. We look forward to that. And so just to share with you at the end of the panelist conversation, we're going to be taking questions and a whole lot of others. So please keep your questions, keep your comments coming as we continue this conversation. But before we proceed, it's very important for us to understand why we are here and the very essence for why we are having this webinar today. And there's no other person to lead us into this conversation as we proceed with the opening remarks than the Chief Executive Officer of Teach for Nigeria, Mrs. Molade Adeniyi. In the next few minutes, she's going to be sharing with us the essence of why we're doing this, the reasons why Teach for Nigeria is at the forefront of educational access and equity in Nigeria. And with a resounding sound of applause, using your favorite emoji, using a virtual applause, please make welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Teach for Nigeria as she leads us into this excellent conversation with their opening remarks. Thank you so much. Molade, okay, yes, our CEO is here. Thank you so much. So I can't still
Thank
see your
you.
applause on the YouTube. They are applauding
Thank
and saying,
you, Gideon. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from today. We're so excited that you're here. And we're so excited that you're joining this very, very important conversation. We have an excellent lineup. And honestly, I can't wait for us to get into the meat of the matter. So I want to sincerely just thank you all for taking your Friday evening. You could be anywhere else, but you're here in joining us in this important conversation. As Gideon said, reclaiming Nigeria's learning future. And we asked a very important question. Why are so many students struggling and what must change? Before I go on, many of us have seen the 2026 JAM UTME result. What did it spark for you when you saw it? Let's just drop in the chat on Zoom, on YouTube, wherever you're joining us for today. What was that thing that it sparked for you when you saw the results? And the results were startling. I think, it showed that 70% scored less than 200, which is less than 50% of the total available score. Unfortunately, they didn't, aggregate it by state, so we can't say what state performed better, but I would really love to know what it sparked for you. And maybe our moderator can help me pick out some of the things that are being said so that we can also sort of read them out. But I'd really love to understand what that result sparked for you. And that really is what birthed today's conversation as we were thinking as a team and asking ourselves, what has gone wrong? Every single year we see this result. We have some conversations. It doesn't seem like something is shifting. Today's conversation is meant to start giving us action steps. What are the things that must happen today? Like we said, how do we reclaim Nigeria's learning future? We can't keep having such kids struggling, students struggling, and we're not asking ourselves what must change. Education is one of the most important determinants of any nation's future. So if we were looking at our scorecard by the JAM result, it looks like our future seems very big. It looks like, what is meant to be driving our economic growth, what is meant to be influencing the type of country, the type of Nigeria that we want to see, it looks like it is very weakened at the moment. And today's conversation really is meant to spark that. There's many data out there that shows that Nigeria has a learning crisis. There's data that will tell you that 70% of 10-year-olds cannot read or cannot do simple math sums. These are, lived realities that many of our fellows on the field that teach for Nigeria has seen. And we have deployed over 2,600 of them. We hear these stories every single day.
All right. Thank you. Please just keep the comments coming. I see a lot of individuals saying that, oh, yes, some of them participated in the jam while we're waiting for our Chief Executive Officer to uh, continue the opening remarks. Yes, just keep the comments coming while we're waiting for her to continue. And I see a lot of messages here already, so I'll be reading some of them while she's preparing to continue. So I see that Ayo is saying that it's really a concern for us in the educational system. Thank you so much for sharing, Ayo. We see your comments. So we said, yes, what must change? Thank you so much. A lot must change. Samuel,
I'm
are
sorry,
you also fair?
internet
Okay, yes,
was
our
trying
CEO
to
is
mess with
back
me.
now. Thank you so
Um,
much for staying connected.
I was so excited just yapping away. I don't even know where I was. But I think, today we just must ask a very deep question, more urgent question. We know about the learning crisis. It didn't just begin today. But what is truly happening to Nigerian students? That's what we must ask. Those that are doing well, why are they doing well? What's the factor causing them to do well? Those that aren't, what must we do to change the trajectory? And I'm so excited today. We're honored to have with us our amazing keynote speaker, Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo, who is the CEO at Leading Learning, a former commissioner of Lagos State Ministry of Education, and a founding member of, of Teach for Nigeria, and also a current board member as well. She's a respected voice in the education sector. We're not only excited to be doing this work with her, but we're excited and so and so pumped up to have her join this conversation today to give the keynote. She'll be joined by an amazing panel. We're going to be hearing from a student voice. We have Raji Rofiyat Oyindamola joining us. We have a fellow bringing in his insight, Emmanuel Agbaje. We have our very own Dr. Chinedum, who leads our school leadership development program, who will be sharing her perspective, and also Godwin Henry, a friend of Teach for Nigeria, an alumni, and someone who has been working in education policy for quite a while. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I'm not the voice that you have come here to hear today. Um, I just want us to stay engaged. I want us to be connected. I want us to stay tuned because it's going to truly be an interesting conversation. I want you to contribute. That feeling you felt when you saw the JAM results. Let's move from, reaction to action. Let's move from keep talking to what can I do today? So again, action, action, action. And I believe that it takes collective leadership. That's what we preach and teach for Nigeria. Together, we can make a change. Alone, we can go so far. Together, we can go very far. So on that note, I'd like to invite our keynote speaker, Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo. Please allow me to read a very brief bio. If I read the entire bio, we'll be here today. I've already given us a snippet. I talked about how she's the principal consultant and CEO of Leading Learning. She founded this educational consulting firm back in 2014. She has over 40 years of diverse professional experience. She specializes in teacher training, leadership development, school transformation for both public and private schools, as well as non-governmental organizations. She transitioned from banking to education. I'm sure you didn't know that fun fact about her. She also served as the executive director and CEO of Corona Schools Trust Council for about 8 years. And she there loved the school so much and stayed on to volunteer as a director as well. During her tenure as Honorable Commissioner, I think one of the best that we have had in Lagos State, she spearheaded initiatives to enhance the educational landscape in Lagos. She's passionate about education activism. When you speak with Mrs. Adefisayo, oh my God, you leave ignited and just inspired to go and do more. You kind of push yourself into shape and be like, I definitely need to do more. She currently serves on various boards, including the Teach for Nigeria board. And, she has made her mark. And I want you with a resounding round of applause with an emoji, whatever your favorite emoji is. I want you to please join me as we welcome today for the keynote address on our webinar, Reclaiming Nigeria's Education Back, Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo. I want to see, let's see those applause coming. Let's see them coming. Let's see them coming. Let's see them coming. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Ma. Thank you so
Thank you
much
very
for
much.
joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm trying to share my slides. I don't know why I have so much difficulty doing that. I don't know. I'm on the
Please try
share
again
button.
now, Ma.
Okay, I'm on the share button. It says share settings, right? So I'm like share screen, but I'm not seeing share entire desktop. That's what I've done, but I'm still not seeing my slides. But my PA is here, Kofo, and maybe Kofo you can please make Kofo a host so that she can share, because I deliberately sent it to her as well. But I like changing my slides so myself, but
I know
but I'll have to ask her now
okay,
to.
Kofo, can you raise your hand or something, or so we can see you? Okay, she's just about to come in.
Yes. Anyway, let's
Team, can
start.
we make her co-host so that she can also share as well? Thank you.
Thank you, Kofo. I don't know why I'm not succeeding at this, but thank you all very much. It's great to be here. It's a lot of food for thought. I've really been thinking about this, and I thank you for asking me to come and talk, because I've tried to keep quiet, but I don't think one should keep quiet in the face of such extreme situations. So let me first thank Teach for Nigeria. Like I said, I'm a founding member. I think 13 of us met in a room some years ago. It ended up being just 5 of us after several meetings. And eventually it took off, and it took off thanks to the CEOs that we've had. So I must say a big thank you to Molade for accepting this challenge, running with it, and taking us to the next level. I greet all members of staff. I greet everybody here, and I look forward to a good discussion. If you do not hear me, put it in the chat box. I'm trying to also keep up with the chat box. This is a serious discussion. It's about Nigeria's learning struggles. It's very topical this month. JAMB results are just coming out. WAEC is about to start. NECO is about to start. And already, like someone told me, her child is seriously discouraged because the JAMB results are so poor, so it's clear he's not going to university. I must confess, and Chinedum is here, who was my very able deputy and eventually became the head of Corona Secondary School at Baradat. I always said, take it easy with JAMB. Let the child do school start and then move on to JAMB, mainly for certain reasons that I'll talk about as we go along. So let's see. I don't like talking about the problems, or we have to talk about the problems at this particular point in time. So our present measures, and Kofo, if you can just give the first slide, the cover page, I don't mind. Our present measurements for assessment of learning in the country, how we assess our curriculum. Because actually, what is the point of JAMB? The point of the exam is to help us. It should be, apart from the fact that it helps us with admission to university, it should also tell us how well our curriculum is doing. How are we delivering the curriculum to our children? So our present measurements, let me put them in Nigeria: WAEC, NECO, BECE, and of course JAMB. All of them have the same characteristics of poor learning outcomes, poor results for the students. I'm not sure, but JAMB is a major one. JAMB is what we call a gatekeeper. The gate is shut against you, it can be so difficult to cross that gate. The gate is shut against you, the possibilities of you having a good enough life recede. So it's a very major one. And that's why we're going to use it today to even talk about the learning struggles of our children, the realities of their lives, and even to come up with solutions. And I'm hoping that we do come up with them. I don't want to come up with the solutions myself. I have a whole list of maybe 20 solutions, but I decided I'll just talk about 4 or 5 and let the panel expatiate and talk about a lot more than that. The results were released to a lot of national uproar. People were shouting. Even here, we've heard, oh, it is very disheartening, lacks highly motivated teachers, the society is polluted, and a polluted society will produce polluted citizens. Friend said his son disappointed him again. You know, I have heard people who are totally disheartened, so extremely unhappy. Everybody has talked. But let me tell you something. I find this uproar surprising. I'm not surprised because for over 10 years, in fact, maybe 20 years, I've been looking at JAMB. It's gotten worse and worse and worse over the years, but I will just talk about the last 10 years. The evidence, honestly, suggests there's been mass underperformance, and it's not an isolated event in 2026. It didn't happen 2 or 3 years ago. It has been for over 10 years. The 10 years before, it was there. But I don't have the data, and I do know the data, but I'm not going to quote it now because I don't have it at my fingertips. Some of the reasons that people have said is, of course, I've seen the teachers lacks highly motivated teachers, which is a very good assessment of it all, I think. The society is polluted. Yeah, maybe, but that will not, we need data for this pollution and how it is affecting the students and their ability to learn and pass an exam based on our curriculum set by our teachers, marked by within our system, meant for our universities, and we are still not able to deliver it accurately. So some of the reactions for me, I've heard people, next slide, the students are lazy. Well, that is a very simplistic reading of the situation. Please go on to the next one. Go on. I have a feeling that I sent the wrong slide. So I did say, yeah, well, let's go on. The students are lazy. This is too simplistic. It's too simple to say that, and it doesn't lend itself to analysis. Have you analyzed the situation? How many? In Nigeria, we talk without data, and that I want us to get out of that attitude. If you say, what's happening there? 30% of the children are not doing it. 50% of them don't do this. There are 80%, but no conscious, deliberate collection of data. So when we say students are lazy, what do we mean by that? Well, I mean, how are we sure? Where did we get the data from? Some say social media is the distraction, is the cause. Again, this is not evidence-based. Of course, there's social media. It's in every country. It's in every country. It's in every country. So why is it affecting us inordinately? Is it because our students are engaged? Is it because school is boring? Is it because there's no point going to school? Remember the song and the slogan that education is a scam? Is it because of that? So they wonder that if this thing is not working for me, they are reasonable people. Let me go for what will work for me. Is it JAMB is too hard? I've heard that as well. This is unlikely because the same results are there year in, year out. So we just cannot say JAMB is too hard. Government reaction is not yet available. We have not seen government's reaction yet about this year's results. So I cannot quote government's reaction, but I can quote last year's reaction, where the Honorable Minister actually came out and said the low scores, can I have the next slide? I think I'm not sure that this is the correct. Okay, can I have the next slide? I think something has changed between myself and you. Can I have the next slide, Kofo? Can I have the next slide, please? But actually, all I have to say is this is not a bad year. It is a systemic pattern of low performance. And what we've been having is that government has been, government said last year in 2025 that the lower results were because they have plugged all the loopholes for cheating and so on. And so those who cheat normally are not able to cheat this year, and therefore the results were lower. It may be a plausible reason, but pardon me. But let me say something. Reducing exam malpractice is a good thing. It's right. That's what we should do so that we have a level playing field for everybody. But integrity alone does not produce learning. If curbing cheating continues to lead to mass failure, then the issue is not the absence of cheating, but the absence of learning. Can I say that again? If curbing cheating leads to mass failure, then the issue is not the absence of cheating, but the absence of learning. And that is the situation that we find ourselves in. There is serious absence of learning. And that is very important. I had a graph showing 10-year trend. Say, pity, I don't know what is happening. I wish I could show the graph because it shows you at the top that consistently over many years, the percentage of those having below 200 is over 70%. There was only 1 year when it dipped below, and that was 2017, and it was 66%. If you look at the graph again, and I hope we'll be able to show that graph, because I don't know what is happening, the second thing is for those who are having between 200 and 249, consistently about 20%. For those having between 250 and 299, consistently about 4 to 5%. And about for 300 and above, certainly, it's honestly, for 200 and above, it's just a mere, is less than 1%. It's less than 1%. That should worry all of us, and I hope it does. Yes, this is it. I'm glad. You can see that only in 2017 did it dip slightly, but it's been always above, about 70 and above. So this year's 75 to 77% is not an unusual situation at all. Don't let us take it as unusual. Don't let us behave as if, this is terrible, terrible things are happening. No. This is the usual pattern. And what we've got to face, like I said, is that there is an absence of learning. Because, like I keep saying, it is based on our curriculum. It is taught by our teachers. It is assessed. The questions are set by our teachers. So why would our children be performing at this level? Please, can I have the next slide? If you look at a 10-year snapshot, it shows it again. I mean, it's just a repetition of that graph. Next slide, please. That's a 10-year snapshot. Can I have the next slide? Now, let's look at the performance. Please go back. Please go back up to the previous one with blue. Please don't move too fast. I want, I have a decade of data here, and I hope a clear picture is forming. The clear picture of consistent underperformance. Please go on. I will keep saying it because I even want to bore you with that sentence. Consistent poor performance. Now look at the graph again, the again, the distribution, and it shows you see how the red shouts at you. That's where most of our students are, and we know that is at the point at which they're not going to. Many of them are not going to get into university. It's practically impossible for the majority of them in that band. And if they do, it will certainly not be for the competitive courses that they all want to do. It will be for something they never bargained for. So if I can have the next slide. Yeah, we've said it again. Please go on. The key insights, the consistent underperformance, the narrow elite. If you watch it, less than 1% have scores of 300 and above. I have seen schools online, I don't know, I don't go into schools' personal affairs, schools online that are boasting and telling us that we presented 50 children, nobody scored below 250. These top schools are heavily resourced, children from homes where they can do lessons and so on, where possibly they have access to more social media, more computers and so on. So if we're talking about distraction, really, please go on. So there's a wide middle and a huge lower band. Like we said, integrity may have improved, but it has not transformed anything. It has not transformed results. Please go on. Please go on. So at the end of the day, any educationist will tell you, this is the system. Please, we are moving too fast. The previous slide. This is a system, is not the students. I'm not somebody who victim blames. I don't say the victims don't have their own little bit out of it, but I know that we cannot victim blame. It is not the students, and I want us all to get that get that right. I'm not one of those teachers who say the children failed because they didn't do well. No. Did you teach them well? Did you assess them well? Did you support them well? Do they have the resources to learn? So it's the system, it's not the students. How can any student be like that? How can any system be like this? Please roll on to the next slide. I can have the next slide, please. So it's just, there's so much inequality, and that is what is persisting. Because there are many schools who had 100%, who had almost all their students having 300 and above. I remember in church many years ago, we wanted to adopt children and pay for their university admission. And we found in a whole secondary school, only 2 or 3 children took JAMB. Only 2 or 3, because they were sure that they would fail. They didn't have JAMB lessons, they didn't have teachers, they didn't have support. They were sure that they would fail. So the data points to structural issues in learning, access, and teacher quality. There are just too many points of inequality. It's an unequal system. Please pardon me, I went off, did I? Please, who can hear me? Did I go off?
Yes, we can hear you. You're back now, ma'am.
I'm back now, yes. I remember some years ago, the World Bank describing Nigeria's system as poor quality education, poor education for poor people. So the inequality is the most glaring thing about this exam. This exam does not reflect the normal aptitude and ability of the students. In any system, the normal, if I can have the slides, please. In any normal system, it would be what you call a normal curve. With most of the children, there will be an average. With most of the children around that average. A very few would be very poor. A very few would be very good. But you cannot have a system where majority of the children, 70%, are scoring so low, indicating, the indication of that is tremendous. So what JAMB is doing is that it's just revealing the failure of the whole system, right from early years up to where we are. So let's start again. What is the point of exams? What do the JAMB results measure? They are supposed to measure your subject knowledge. They're supposed to measure your proficiency in English. We heard a Teach4 fellow talking about her students who cannot speak English. I worked in a public school some years ago, maybe about 8 years ago, and my students in SS3 could hardly read. In fact, I remember coming to Lagos, begging all my friends, give me old books from your library, because many had never really read a book. They could not read. If you cannot read, how do you sit for an exam? How do you interpret the question? How do you understand the question? Because literacy is not even just reading, it's also comprehension, isn't it? It's listening, it's writing. And when your skills are so low there, you are not going to do well. So there's English proficiency or literacy. There's speed and accuracy. It's supposed to measure because there's a time limit. But something is bothering a lot of the children, and that is digital familiarity. Please, can Kofo show the slides? I'm a bit unhappy about not seeing the slides. Thank you. Then digital familiarity. Hello.
We can hear you.
What
Yes,
I
ma.
wanted,
We can hear you back, ma'am.
I've gone beyond this because I said it's a bell curve. It's not a bell curve, but I can still talk through it. That you can see what we have is a screwed and asymmetric curve, where so many of our children are the low end. Can I have the next slide? So, like I said, it's just revealing. Go on, I've gone beyond this. Please, can I have the next slide? Yes, go back one. I don't want to show this yet. So what is it supposed to measure? Like I said, your subject knowledge. As somebody said, teachers, we are not getting teachers with adequate subject knowledge. I have a big problem with a lot of people coming to us and saying they are teachers. Their knowledge of the subject itself is weak. So how do you pass? They say you only give of what you have. So we have a massive problem with teachers as well. And again, I'm not victim blaming. I'm not saying teachers are bad. No, not at all. The system has in fact failed them. They are not trained adequately. So subject knowledge, literacy, speed. It also measures digital familiarity. You are doing an exam. You are supposed to be clicking. Some have never touched a mouse before. Some have never seen a computer screen before. How are you going to pass that exam? You are just learning so you are learning something, a rather complex skill, and then on top of it, you are now sitting for a high-stakes exam that is a gatekeeper that is going to determine the future of your life. I'm not sure many people would do well under such circumstances. And of course, there are test-taking skills. There are students who have gone over the questions over and over. Because if you watch JAMB well, there are people who can analyze JAMB for you and tell you which questions will come out next year. Just from the back analysis, because of the pattern of asking questions. And you know, children from more resourced backgrounds will be doing past questions. And then you have this child who has never seen a past question, just facing it for the first time. The child must be very, very brilliant indeed to do well. And it is possible. But the odds are stacked against the average child. And most of us are average. And that's something. Then please, can we go on? There's something about the technical quality of the exam. I had a slide. I'm not sure it's showing up. I put technical glitch because what happened is I am guardian to a young lady. She did the exam last year. She had 225. She did not get into college, to School of Nursing. It was too low to get into University of Ibadan School of Nursing. Okay. We said, try again. She did all sorts of lessons every evening after school. She was doing online lessons, bought notebooks and so on, went for the exam. When she came back, she cried nonstop. What's the matter? There were technical glitches. There were missing questions, missing answers, and so on. She cried and cried and cried. So there are also technical glitches. So the technical quality of the exam itself is also suspect. This is it, the error, just showing error. And underline it all, of course, there's exposure to quality. So when you look at poor performance, you just cannot judge it simplistically and say the students are lazy. Lazy with what? If you are engaged, if you enjoy the learning, if you appreciate what this is going to do for you in future, excuse me, the typical child, the average child will try and do well. The average. But here, the average child is already discouraged from their poor background before they even come into the exam at all. So please go on, because I think research has found that, please go on, let me see. Yeah, I put all this.
All right. So while we're waiting for Mrs. Adefisayo to connect again, I see a lot of comments already. So I'll read some of them and I'll just write in, right? And one of them that struck with me, just giving you a reminder of this, is you only give of what you have. And that was very powerful. I think she's back now. You only give of what you have. And another is this is not a bad year, a systemic show of low performance. One more one before she continues with the keynote is that reducing examination malpractice is a good thing, but integrity alone doesn't produce learning. And that's really profound, really. Reducing examination malpractice is a good thing, but integrity alone doesn't produce learning. Ma, are you back now?
I'm
Can you
back.
hear me?
Please, I must apologize. I think MTN
Yes,
is not
ma'am.
very good where and my Wi-Fi kicks in, then it goes off. So please accept. I hope you accept my apology. I'm really sorry.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
please,
So,
we're enjoying the
we were
conversation,
talking
Please
about
carry on.
the factors, but there's one factor we have not talked about, and that factor is also very, very critical, and is I call the filtering or gatekeeping function of JAMB. See, 2 million children sat for the exam. Our universities have total carrying capacity of 500 to 700,000. So no matter what you do, they are only going to take about 30% of those who sat for the exam. So even if we have a situation where they all pass, so what is the job of JAMB? It is now a selection exam, or a scarcity allocation system, because there's scarcity, and in scarcity, not everybody can pass and be selected. There are limited spaces. And that is one of the most heartbreaking things of all. Many students do get beyond the cutoff, but do not get to university or wherever they have applied to. For many reasons. You see, there are many universities now. There are how many? I put there that there are 74 federal universities, 67 state universities, and 168 private universities. Unfortunately, all of them combined can only take 500 to 700,000 students, with the federal universities taking the bulk, because many of the 168 private are too expensive for the typical. Thank you. There's a graph that I would really like to show, if it's possible. It talks about the filtering process, the filtering function of a JAMB. But just suffice to say that there's no space. So what do we do? You see, we've said a lot of things. The system is polluted, the values in the external environment and so on. I've said I will not talk about all the solutions, but I would like to talk about a few. But if it's possible for me to still see that slide, I would really appreciate it. That has the funnel, because I did a lot of work on it. I worked with AI on it, kept on increasing data and so on, until I was happy with what I had. So it just shows how many students entered. Well, I have a photograph of it here. It shows us
It's showing
how
on the
many.
screen, ma'am. You should be able to see it now. We can see it, the funnel.
Well, I can't. What a pity. I can't see anything. All I see is black. Emmanuel Nweke has started screen sharing. You can see the funnel. If you can see it, it's a very dramatic drawing, isn't it?
It is,
Showing
yeah.
1.8 to 2.2 million who actually want to do JAMB. 1.7 actually to sit for it, to 2 million sit for it. 800 can, due to their UTME score, can go for, between 800 and 1 million can go for UTM, post-UTME, which they have to face again after JAMB, don't forget. So after UTME, post-UTME, it whittles the number down to 600 to 800. Of this number, maybe admissions are offered to up to 700,000, but ultimately less than 600 actually go to university. And I've told you why. Again, the cost and so on. They're limited spaces. They're very limited spaces. Very, very limited spaces. And that for any young person is heartbreaking. So let's go into solutions mode. I don't know, there was a slide. I don't know why I can't see, but I cannot see any slides here. But there is something else that I tried to show, that there are some things. Let's be specific and let's not just talk about the problems. Let's go for solutions. I hate talking about the problems, but I wanted us to be clear that many things that can be done and that should be done. There was a slide that I said move on from, and I'm sorry I did say that, but I wanted to talk about the things that can, a few things. It's clear that we have to address, it's clear we have to address the foundation of learning. You have to address the foundation. This thing started in early years, in primary school, in secondary school. It did not start when they got to senior secondary. So that's why, as a country, we must take our foundational learning very seriously. If you get the foundation right, you probably get most things right. Of course, I've mentioned it and said it again and again, we have to address teacher quality. We have to make teaching an interesting profession, something that a young person will want to do. I had a young teacher years ago, and he told me a story of how he wanted to marry a very pretty lady. He's a rather good-looking chap himself. But the day they had been dating for like a year, the day they were going home, she begged him not to tell her parents that he's a teacher. Can you imagine? Please don't tell them. My father will kick you out, because they were sure that being a teacher, his child would honestly live in certain poverty. We've got to change that narrative about teaching. I'm glad that a few top private schools are doing that, and teachers are better paid, better resourced, and they do a lot of training and support. But that's again because of parent expectations. Parent expectations are very high, and so they are forced to do a lot of things. But we now, as a country, have to insist that teaching quality has to go up. Once I went to talk to deans of colleges of education, people who are doing education in university don't do enough teaching classes. They don't do enough practicum. They just do all these theoretical courses. They are treating them as if they are going in for medicine or pharmacy. A biology teacher does not need to know biology at the level of a PhD. No. If you look at it well, the education courses they are taking are less than 10. They're not doing a motivation. They are not doing the psychology. They are doing the history, the philosophy. And so they know Vygotsky's theorem. They know, what do you call it? All sorts of theories about learning. They know all the philosophers, Franz Fanon, and so on. They know all those philosophers. But translate it into the classroom. They are not giving them enough learning to translate all those philosophies into their own personal philosophy as a teacher and then into the classroom. I say this, and I don't mind. I know many people when I said it that, would you let your child be a teacher? I'm a teacher. I'm proud of it. I'm the daughter of 2 teachers. If you make teaching a great profession, it's a great profession to have. I'm always telling people, wherever I go, whenever I travel, wherever I go, I just enjoy so many things because I've taught somebody somewhere. What that is, even going about on the road, carrying something, I just see people come and carry it. You are my this thing, you are my head teacher, you are my person, excuse me, it's the best profession in the world. But we are not treating it as such. So if we don't address teacher quality, that's another thing. Another solution is addressing inequality and access. Urban versus rural divide, boys versus girls, resource gaps. How can you tell somebody to go and do jump when he has never seen a computer? Who does that, and how does that work? How does that work? It's a very sad thing for a young person. And of course, the assessment methodology, I still think we should look at it. I don't understand why. I try to look around the world, how many systems do this, so that their students only do one big exam. that is going to filter everybody in the country. There's no other methodology, except maybe you do A level and enter through another. Who's going to be doing A levels? So why is that the only methodology? This is where I differ from most people. I don't understand the concept of JAMB. I do not think it's necessary. And I think I better round up now. I don't understand I don't want to be controversial, so you can say all that and say, let us keep JAMB. It's all right, let's keep it, but let's make it better. And let's look for alternative ways. Why can't people enter through other ways? People enter through pathways. Someone might have taught for maybe 5 years as a school start holder somewhere as an assistant teacher. Then they enter into college through a test by that college. Some through SS. It doesn't have to be this huge thing that is so big that we've lost absolute control of. And then why must everybody go to university? Why aren't there alternative pathways for a young person in Nigeria? Why aren't the technical colleges, why aren't we building them up? Nowadays, if you see young people graduating in university, finish, like I said, young people need other options apart from university. Other options that are good, that will give them a good lifestyle. And this is, as a country, we need to start thinking very deeply about this. I thank you very much. I'm so sorry for all the glitches. I feel very bad about it. But you know how a child sitting down felt, because all those glitches coming in for the poor child while the child was doing the exam, and the question wouldn't appear, an answer wouldn't be there, and so on and so forth. So that is how I feel today about the performance of MTN, and I've used 2 or 3 devices, 2 or 3 sources of data. But thank you very much. I think I'd like to hear from the panel. Thank you. Am I talking to myself?
Wow. Yes, ma'am. There's heat in the land. Everywhere is really, really hot. Powerful nuggets, powerful, contributions and policy inside there about how we can reclaim Nigeria's future, especially with the educational system and what is currently happening. And I was just writing a lot. For example, you said that this is not a bad, it's a systemic show of low performance. Students are not lazy. It's just a systemic this is just a simplistic analysis of the situation. And you're very right. And I can see YouTube is hot right now. A lot of nuggets, statements from what you've shared, and everyone is just reiterating the fact that it's been an excellent 30, 40 minutes listening to you as a powerful voice and as a keynote speaker for this conversation. Thank you so much, Ma. And just like you've said, we're now going to listen to the panelists since you are going to be joining us for that. And I'm sure they are really just energized with everything you've shared, and they are looking forward to contributing their quota to this. And so we're going to start by introducing our first panelist for the evening. Even though you can still keep your statement, how you are feeling, your reactions to what Mrs. Adefisayo has shared so far using the YouTube platform and just sharing. We look forward to sharing some of them even after this conversation and sharing them across all social media platforms. Thank you so much. So to begin our panelist conversation today, we have a student. Her name is Raji Rofiyat Oyindamola, and I'm going to read her bio. Raji is a student of one of our fellows at Teach for Nigeria, Deborah Omojebe, who sat for the 2026 UTME. She is an exceptional and well-rounded student who scored an aggregate of 292 in UTME, specifically 61 in English, physics 78, biology 64, and chemistry 89. And you're going to be listening to her, especially Beyond her strong academic performance, she's thoughtful, expressive, and able to reflect honestly on her learning journey, as well as examination preparation strategies. And so with a virtual round of applause with your favorite emoji, please make welcome Rofiyat, Raji. Rofiyat, are you there? Can you say something? Everyone is excited to have you on this. I see you smiling. I believe you can hear me. Can you?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Rofiyat. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this conversation. The next our panelist we're going to be introducing is Emmanuel Agbaje. Emmanuel Agbaje is a 2024 Teach for Nigeria Fellow who serves at Iwoye Community High School at K2, Ogun State. An exceptional classroom practitioner who brings both credibility and deep insight into the realities students are currently facing within underserved learning environment. Remember from the words of Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo that a lot of students are struggling, and most of the students writing all of these exams are from the communities where Emmanuel works. And this year, specifically, Emmanuel prepared 12 students for the UTME exams across core subjects, including English, biology, chemistry, and physics, demonstrating strong instructional competence and a strong commitment to student success. He has a background in chemistry at the University of Ibadan and is passionate about foundational learning and strengthening STEM education in unsafe communities. With a virtual round of applause, please make welcome Emmanuel Agbaje. Emmanuel, are you there? I see you smiling too. Do you want to say words to our audience?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gideon, for that. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Thank you and good evening. Now we have a development professional who is also an alumni of Teach for Nigeria and has done a lot of policy work in the areas of education and social impact. The next person on our panelist is Godwin Henry. Godwin is a development professional with over a decade of experience designing and driving human capital and education reforms across Africa. In his current role, he leads flagship programs advancing the leadership of women and girls across Africa. He's an alumnus of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, Chatham House, Common Futures, the British Council for Future Leaders Connect Program, the NESG Bridge Fellowship, and Teach for Nigeria. Godwin is driven by the desire to democratize socioeconomic background and believes that education system could change when leaders at every level are involved. Mr. Godwin, good to have you here, and we're excited to have you on this conversation. Do you want to say a word to our audience?
Thank you, Gideon. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this evening.
Thank you so much, Godwin. And just before we go into this conversation, I'm going to introduce our last panelist for the evening, Dr. Chinedum Oluwadamilola. Dr. Chinedum is a seasoned school improvement strategist with over 30 years of experience spanning all levels of education. I want to believe you heard that. With over 30 years of experience spanning all levels of education. And she currently works independently supporting schools and education systems through leadership development, school transformation, and targeted improvement strategies. She holds a PhD in educational management and an MBA with a specialization in human resources, bringing together both strong academic experience and expertise, as well as organizational leadership. Over the course of her career, Dr. Chinedum has trained more than 20,000 educators across both public, private schools, and also working and consulting with government organizations within Nigeria. With a virtual round of applause, energized, sharing your favorite emoji, whether on Zoom, whether on YouTube, make welcome Dr. Chinedum Oluwadamilola. Dr. Chinedum, are you there? Before we go to the questions, we need to hear from you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinedum. And yes, my name remains Gideon Ogunfeyimi, and I'll be moderating this panel session. And so to begin this conversation, my first question is going to go to Rofiyat, right? Because Rofiyat is, is a student in the house. And so Rofiyat, please, can you help us understand what is it really to be a student in Nigeria today, both in school and outside school? What does it really mean to be a student in Nigeria today, Rofiyat?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Raji Rofiyat from Olomu Community Senior Secondary School, Aja. What it really means to be a student in Nigeria today is a complex issue. Actually, within the school, students often have strong desire for quality education, but this can often be hampered by large class size, outdated facility, and limited resources. Within the school, students, along with every other classmate, find learning fun and engaging, especially when dealing with group discussion, telling themselves, arguing about a complex topic and trying to find solution to it. Outside the school, outside the school, students find it very difficult juggling different tasks together. After school, some students went to their learning workplace while others go home to help their parents. And at the end of the day, on coming back home, some students came late from work and the body also demand for its own and they felt tired. And then at the end of the day, students have to sleep as the body also need rest. So when it's now time for test and examination, it becomes overwhelming to download everything together. And at the end of the day, students end up failing. Only those that are strong enough make it like they're able to pass. So being a student in Nigeria today is really, really a complex struggle. Thank
you, Rofiyat. Just powerfully, in a few words, Rofiyat just shared how complex it is for to exist as a student in Nigeria today, juggling academic work as well as trying to ensure that there's sustainable livelihood outside of the school community. And that's just Rofiyat sharing from a lived experience of how things currently exist for her. And thank you, Rofiyat. And quickly, when we're now going to move to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, just listening to Rofiyat really, and coming from a teacher perspective, from your classroom experience, what are students struggling with to do right now? Whether it's weak reading habits, examination distractions, digital distractions, how are all of these things, for example, that Rofiyat has shared, showing up in the way students learn nowadays? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gideon, for that question. I teach chemistry and STEM in the Oyindamola Community High School in Ogun State. I will tell you that there are several things that students actually struggle with, but I will highlight two. Number one is foundational gap, poor foundational gap. And I tell you that about 74% of school-age children lack skills, basic skills, when it comes to literacy and numeracy skills. And a whole lot of these students are advancing through classes without mastering these skills at all. And I tell you, this is one of the reasons that pushes me to start a 7 a.m. boot camp and classes for learners in my community. Understand, before school actually begins. And I will say the other thing. Now, before I proceed, I'll say this. When people struggle a lot with foundational issues, then it is very difficult to grasp the concept of tedious mathematics work and other concepts. Then I will say the other thing students are struggling with is life prayer. A whole lot of these students actually struggle a whole lot. A whole lot of them cook food before classes, before school in the morning and after school in the morning. This makes them tired. And I tell you this, that when student struggles like this, it becomes very difficult for them to come to school and learn because they are tired. But here's what has kept me going. When you meet students at that level and you give them consistent support, they catch up very fast, they catch up easily. And I have seen students who couldn't write four letter words and go on to sit for UTMA and do excellently well. And this is what I will close here with. I have learned that when child comes to class bearing hunger, when they come to class with self-doubt and fear, it is very, very difficult for learning to take place. However, when you give a child support, when you give a child support, when you give them structure and someone that they truly believe in, it changes everything. It changes the story. And I believe that is what really happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you. And I see a lot of comments agreeing on YouTube to what you just shared, how you reiterated what Rofiyat has shared about the students managing a lot of complexities, right? And one major thing that struck with me is that, however, when there's a very high level of teacher quality and you have a very good teacher that takes interest in them, they tend to like surpass and their current level and do excellent work, especially because they have built the mental capacity to thrive and juggle a lot of things together. Thank you, Emmanuel, for sharing that. Now we're going to move to Godwin. Mr. Godwin, and just understanding from your point of experience and all of the policy work you've been doing, and with the current situation with the examination, right? Why are some young Nigerians now beginning to lose faith in education as a pathway to opportunity, right? Even as Emmanuel Rofiyat has shared what the current reality for students are, why are Nigerians, some Nigerians, really not everyone, are losing faith in education as a pathway to opportunity? Thank you.
Thank you, Gideon, for that question. And I really like the foundation that, please confirm you can hear me. Okay, awesome. No, we have to check this thing. I like the foundation that Mrs. Adefisayo laid, like really, really apt one. And she did say she would not rock some but maybe I will rock my own a little bit. I know people might not agree with something, but I'll try to rock it. And one thing that I really like that she said is how this is not finger pointing, particularly at students. In fact, I always find it troubling when students are, for any reason, accused, right, of success, of the success or failure or whatever happens. It's systemic. And in that systemic value chain, they are the last, right? In coming to the question on why young Nigerians, right, are beginning to lose faith, and even look at it vis-a-vis the conversation on the JAM failure. It's not new. In fact, every year we have this done, right? Last year I wrote something about it and people came for my neck on why I would say so. I always like to phrase it that education is an investment, right? And the kind of investment that it is a long-term investment. So it's like putting patient capital into something. The result, the impact of education is not felt in the immediate. The best that you would see when it comes to having a result, when it comes to education, is how the person communicates, right? But the wider purpose of education, which leads to another conversation, is when we talk of the Nigerian child, what is our collective agreement on what the purpose of educating that child is? The current system that we are implementing, what is it driving? So I think at the moment, it's not clear. And when it's not clear, when the end goal is not clear, it means every outcome is very, very allowable. Last year, I read the Brookings Africa Foresight report. And one of the things that struck me was a conversation similar to this, that when it comes to education, collectively, we agree education is important. But when it comes to the how, that's where you have variations. There's no agreement. And for me, it's very key. It's what leads to part of why students then become disinterested in the pathway. Because when we don't agree, it means we are not leading them to one exact picture. We are not painting a clear picture. Even we as a people, we are not putting our money where our mouth is. If you look at us on the government and the planning level, where you'd hear so billion, 25% of the national budget has been budgeted for education. When it comes to disbursement, a different story. We tells us that even we ourselves, we are not taking it serious. So if we are not modeling the behavior and the outcome that we want, how do we expect the young people who are, like, for me, the end of the value chain, to then take that particular pathway seriously? We have not made education outcome really viable. Remember that it is not short term, it's long term. It's patient capital. It's 16 years, it's 20 years. And if even people that have gone through that 16 and 20 years, there's no tangible outcome for them to hold on to and show as proof of concept, how do you expect someone who is looking at them? I'll tell a quick story and I would stop. When I was in the classroom, right, I remember my kids would come to meet me and say, "Oh, Mr. Henry, you are very intelligent, you are very smart, but brother Sule, right, in the house has more money than you. He's driving a car, he's living comfortable. See your shoe." You know, that tells us a lot. I'll stop there.
Oh, wow. Thank you for giving us that tension. And there's a lot of tension because from one of your statements, you said, what is our collective agreement on the hour when it comes to education? I just give you that tension to say that that comparison of external results, right, of what education and outcome of education is, as well as what the current dispensation or the current society wants is different. Is just very, 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 very beautiful to ponder on. And I mean, right now, the best person to actually lead us to share from this attention you just created for us is Dr. Chinedum. And Dr. Chinedum, the question really just leading from what Godwin shared now, is that from a school leadership perspective, right, what are the biggest school level factors that leading affecting student learning outcomes, whether it's the tension right now that Godwin has just shared, or the excellent learning outcomes that we want, and or the results that we are seeing, which is different from our current inputs. Dr. Chinedum, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's interesting listening to everybody. And when I saw the JAMB results and the outcry, the question I asked myself was, why are people complaining? What were we expecting? In recent times, I've had the privilege of visiting a lot of schools, public schools in this case. I come from the elite private school sector, so I understand what goes on when it comes to how you teach, the facilities and all. And Mr. Adefisayo mentioned it. We take the students through 10, 12, 20 years of past JAM questions. They are very familiar with the resources and so on. So I've had this privilege of entering classrooms. And I ask myself, how do we expect any child to learn in a classroom where they have to put Ankara wrapper seats? Now you want a fantastic teacher. I mean, even the teachers that teach in these places I doff my hat for them. Because in some of those classrooms, a lot of people cannot last 1 month in those classrooms, not to talk of teaching with the kind of passion that we're talking about. I've seen classrooms where those that claim to have desks to sit, where you have 6 children sitting on a desk that is meant for 2, and they're expected to learn, and they're expected to do well. They're expected to go and write JAMB and pass it. I think we are being unfair in what we are expecting. And when we get serious with what we expect education to be, then we will tell the children that we value them as human beings, that we value education that we're trying to push to them, and that we even value those that we expect to educate them. A lot of talk about teachers are not being passionate. I think it would be nice to take a lot of us and put in those classrooms and gauge our level of passion in teaching in classrooms where there are no ceiling boards. They cannot sit. They have no water. They have no conveniences. They have absolutely nothing. And they are expected to make magic. And I would not talk too much about this. What we are saying to the children, to the students, whether they are 3-year-olds or 17-year-olds, we're saying to them, by the thing we're doing collectively as a people, that they don't matter. that they are not important. And these are the children Rofiyat has told us about, how children would, go home to hawk or hawk before they come to school. They go through a lot of hardship. And the place that could be a safe haven for them, we get there, and it is even worse than what they meet at home. And all of a sudden, we just expect them to perform magic. I mean, kudos to those who are able to even do as much as they are doing. So my submission really is, we have told them by our actions as a people, as communities, and when I'm talking as a people now, I don't mean government only at the federal level, but within our communities, we have said to the children, what we're sending you to is not important. It does not make any sense. Just go there, so we say we have gone to school. What you come out is not important. Because when something is important to us, we make a lot of efforts. We try our best. We have not tried. We are not putting in any effort at all. And that, of course, trickles down to the teachers, to everything. It's when we are ready, then we will make it an important part of our society, and everything about it will show that it is important. But it's not going to happen overnight. But that first step must be taken. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinedum, for raising that quickly. I see a comment saying you are a school leader indeed, and just sharing from your wealth of experience and how, we just have two different ecosystems of, school existence in Nigeria, and are expecting the same outcome from these two ecosystems is baffling. And thank you for raising that. And that will now take me to us. We need to listen to Rofiyat herself right now with just what Dr. Chinedum have said. So, Rofiyat, when you think about all of these things that we've been unpacking, from listening to Godwin, listening to Dr. Chinedum, listening to Mr. Emmanuel, right, what do you think needs to change for students to believe that education can still lead to a better future? And I'll take that again. What do you think needs to change for students to believe that education can lead to a better future? Rofiyat. Okay, I think our screen is currently frozen, so I'm just going to skip that and come back to Rofiyat. And so, Emmanuel, if you are still with us, really, I'm going to put that to you now while we're waiting for Rofiyat to come back online, which is, what do you think teachers are currently doing, right, that is helping the student learn, and even in difficult conditions that, teachers here, school leaders here, policymakers here can learn from, to ensure that we continue, we start even supporting school systems that provide the right kind of environment for teachers in these different settings that we have in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gideon, for that. And I would say, even with limited resources, and a whole lot of teachers are doing mighty works. They are doing things to really help. Because when you consider the situation in the classroom, it's appalling. About in my JAM preparation for 12 students and the program like that, in Oyindamola, where about 70 students were prepared for JAM examination. The gain came from three things. It wasn't magic. It came from three things. Number one is revisiting foundational topics. Number two is consistent mentoring. And number three is CBT practice. And these people, once they don't have access to it, it's very difficult for them to cope. So I stayed after school. I organized weekend classes for them. I taught these people how to use basic CBT, how to use CBT to answer questions. And I tell you, and I provided support for them. We look for a means to provide support for these students and to secure a JAM support and WAEC support. This student, the student who show up consistently, and stay off distraction, they scale up very fast and they came out very well. And I will say this, it wasn't a magic, it was a pure presence and accountability. It was a pure presence, and accountability. And I will leave you with this. When teachers show up daily in the classroom, when they show up daily in the classroom, they show up in school, students stop at showing up only when exams are close. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, and thank you. And I mean, I just see the comment now that how can this be the mainstay for all teachers? And that's the question that should be in the mind of every teacher, school leader, policymaker that is just listening to this conversation right now. How can this be the mainstay for all teachers? And so, Godwin, I'll come to you now, really. So, in terms of leadership, right? What does student leadership look like, right, in a time where many young people are feeling disillusioned? I understand that you shared a very powerful comparison that time about your experience in a school where, one of your students, right, created attention for you about, oh, I have a brother that does this and, live this kind of lifestyle, but you are an excellent teacher, an excellent human being, ensuring that I have access to a quality education here. And so that takes me to that question for you now. What does that student leadership looks like for us right now, where young people can feel like, oh, I'm able to effect change and create the sort of system that we need? Thank you.
Thank you, Gideon. I'm going to actually start from what Emmanuel was talking about, because I think it's a really, really powerful segue into what he did. Again, because at the end of the day, it's what we model. I always like to say that the students that we work with, when they come into the education system, given that, yes, they come with a kind of framing from their homes and background, but when it comes to the formal education system, they come in blank. What they gain is what we give to them, what we build into them. And I really like what Emmanuel shared. And one of the questions that came in, how can this be the mainstay? And I always like to say, you cannot outwork a faulty system. Right. Emmanuel was only able to reach 12 students. There were over how many? 70, right? Even if Emmanuel wanted to work 24 hours a day to reach that 70 students, you can't outwork a faulty system. And even when I look at the current situation, I ask myself, if I had written JAM now with CBT, going back to where I was then, would I have passed? I think the answer is no, because you might laugh, but the first time I could operate I held a computer and I operated it, the first time was when I was 11. The next time, and that was just opening Microsoft Word. I'm heading somewhere. The next time I operated it was in the university, year 2 to be precise. So there's no how I would have passed. Mr. Adefisayo was talking about the digital gatekeeping that happens. It's real, right? We cannot separate these issues from the economic realities that happen. People might want to say, oh, parents have the responsibility. But really, how many parents can really afford it? The bulk of our learning population are not in the middle class. They are like the lower, I don't want to use lower class, but they are down there, right? So for them, what they are fighting for is their daily bread. And you're asking somebody fighting for daily bread to begin to put in money to get a computer. That's luxury. Although someone asked, a school leader asked the question recently, which I think is something we can take from this conversation as well. Why is CBT not optimized for mobile phones? Must it be laptops? I don't have the answer. And I think I asked this publicly. But why is it not optimized? Because if the issue is that it must be digital, and most of the children know how to operate smartphones, why not optimize it for mobile integration? Why not make it easier, right? That's by the wayside. To the question, what does student leadership look like, which was what us eventually did. It's mostly motivation. We need to model the right thing. We need, like I said, put our money where our mouth is. We need to build back the belief in the students. I'm sure for Rofiyat did not just appear from the moon. It did not just drop. It's not one of those things where you ask, are leaders born or made? This one was not born. This one was made. You can be born intelligent, but if there's no one that is guiding you on that path, there's definitely nothing that your intelligence would do. So it's mentoring, right? It's inspiring and motivating this category of learners that we have, students that we have. It's making them know that whatever they put their mind to, they can do it, which was the thing that I tried to do. Also, ensuring that we set clear objectives. I remember then when I got into the classroom, this thing about cheating. The kids, once you give any test, everybody is looking for a way to cheat. I had to tell them, relax, you will all pass. But I don't want you to look for ways to begin to find how to cheat the system. I had to drum that. It was pain. I had to model the behavior. I had to build trust in them to be able to see that the end goal, you will pass the exam. One way or the other, you will pass. But you need to be able to know this thing. The goal is not you want to pass without knowing, which was what they are used to, is that, oh, we will get 100, they will celebrate us. No, is that you know this thing. And how do you know this thing? Is that you can apply it, it's transferable in different circumstances. There's also a change. At the end of the day, ultimately, education is a change in character, it's character development. It's not by the A's, it's not by the B's, but it's a process. We have to build this. Let me pause there because I'll just speak more than I'm supposed to. Back to you, Gideon.
Thank you. For sharing those words passionately, because I could see the passion at which you were. And I agree with you quickly about if even as an individual, if I write UTME today, will I actually pass? And that's true, really. And so thank God Rofiyat is, but I'm just sharing, even personally for me, the first time I used a PC was when I was in GS3. And why? Because I was fortunate to be part of 30 students who was selected all over Lagos State as part of the Lagos State Children's Parliament. At that time, the Lagos State government, part of our, personal development and leadership development gift was giving us a PC for us to learn. But you know what happened? I destroyed that PC as a result of not being able to use it. I broke the charging ports. And because I didn't have information at that point, I could not even say, oh, let's repair it and do this. I think it was Homatic. That was at that point. And so until, getting into universities and having to write projects, when I started learning how to do all of this. So, and that's why I'm very proud that Rofiyat is here. Rofiyat is on this call. She had logged off. She's back again. She can unmute, she can share, and she can, do everything we are doing right now. So really, it means that the current student that we have, it's not really that they are not up to the task, right? It's just for us to renovate and innovate around the system, just like Godwin shared, asking that question that, oh, why are these exams not enabled us with smartphones? And so, Rofiyat, as we close quickly, my question for you now as a student in our midst here is that, what do you think needs to change for every student to believe that education can still lead to a better future? Take that for the last time, Rofiyat, if you can hear me. What do you think needs to change for every children to believe that education can still lead to a better future? Thank you, Rofiyat. If you're speaking, your microphone is muted, Rofiyat. Okay, I'm not sure Rofiyat is able to speak now. So, okay, Rofiyat, yes, we can hear you. Please proceed. Just continue here, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm very, very sorry that I knock out them. Actually, let me leave the question aside first. The capability and the reward of capability. When students realize that, especially when students were unable to get immediate job after graduation, Frustration of cost of education coupled with the outcome and unemployment undergraduates can fuel this sentiment. And this can be changed. First, teachers should move to a more cooperative and student-centered method. Teachers should be able to adapt a method that will meet up with the need of almost all the students. And teachers should also teach students how to use the technology efficiently. And I can also say that when students realize that education is not just about getting job, it's about having knowledge and experience about something. When educator and instruction demonstrate how education can help us in building problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, and adaptability skills that are needed to navigate this complex and ever-changing world. This alone can make students back on track, like to be eager to learn more and forget about the fact that education is about getting immediate job. And also, as I might say, I think Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo have already said this, and I want to rephrase it. Actually, teachers are the funder. There is a saying in Yoruba that said that "Kushe lo ma moria," that is, a small greeting can actually boost a person's spirit. Now, teachers being the founder that lay the foundation of every other profession in Nigeria today are at the low high rank. 99% of students, secondary school students, if you ask them, do you want to become a teacher? Everybody will say no. And the answer to the reason why they said no is just one simple answer you got from everyone. And what's the answer? The salary teachers are receiving is chicken change. Teachers that are supposed to be at the forefront of every other professional, because they are the one that set the foundation for every other professional, they are now at the back. I'm not saying teachers are not trying their best. Of course, teachers are trying their best. They give support both academically and personally. Academically, they give instructions, assignments, support, and feedback to students. Personally, they serve as mentor and role model to students. Some teachers even go extra mile to provide emotional support, listen to student concern, and guide them in their personal challenge. But also, when teacher salary have been increased, when teachers are given the respect they deserve, every teacher deserve a car. What I mean by that is that every teacher deserve compensation, acknowledgement, and recognition. When teachers have been given all these things that they deserve, it boosts their morale and it made them to increase more than what they have been doing before. So, all in all, what I'm going to say is that students can come back on track when educator and instruction demonstrate that how education can help to build problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, and adaptability, which is needed for the navigation of this complex and ever-changing.
Thank you so much, Rofiyat. I mean, I'm odd, and I think I will not say anything. The right person to just, you said every teacher needs a car, right? And I love your, definition of the acronym for the car. So there's no other person right now to just reinforce all of these things, to have Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo. Before we take questions to our panelists, please have a word for Rofiyat. Yes, Rofiyat for president. Man, please, yes, Rofiyat has given us a very an excellent call to action, and over to you, Ma, for your word. Thank you.
Well, first, I just want to thank everybody, especially for their comments. And before I go to Rofiyat, I don't know what to say about you. You are wonderful. God bless you. Sometimes when we look at the future of Nigeria, we are afraid. But when we see Rofiyat, we know it's possible. It will be good. Because you still have such people, and they are going to have to change the narrative and the story. I want to talk about my main comment now is, you can see how critical teachers are. That is the granular side of everything that we are doing. Most of the things I talked about were the bigger policy issues. The granular side, the day-to-day teaching in the classroom, there's nothing that beats it like the teacher. And like Dr. Chinedum said, let some of us try and go and work in those places. Well, I have. And I know, and I have seen that some of the best teachers I've ever seen in my life were public school teachers working in some really difficult and distressing situations. So, and like Rofiyat said, how do we make this profession a profession of choice? How do we do it so that a young person thinks about going into education? Because they will be able to get a good living. They'll be paid a good enough salary. I think it's a very major one. And I think for all of us, it's not just to talk here and go away. As much as possible, let us try and be contributing to public discourse as much as possible. Because I'm hoping that someday, somewhere, this kind of conversation will get to the people. I've decided not to say anything anymore because my system is not just cooperating with me. But just to say thank you very much. Thank you to my partners and to the young man who said I didn't want to rock the boat. I think I did because I think I said I don't believe in JAMB. I don't think it should exist. I don't. Its role it has been most counterproductive. But I know we don't have the answers here. I don't think we should throw it away. I think we should rethink how students enter university. So it's not just one way. So I thank all my fellow panelists. I have to leave now, but I thank you very much. I thank Teach for Nigeria. I think it's been a marvelous evening. And do you want me to wait and take questions and just listen, watch questions? Do I have to take questions?
Yes, ma'am. There
Because
might be one or two for you.
Okay, so I'll wait then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. And so while we are waiting for the questions, if you have questions, Ms. Adefisayo is still on the call waiting for your questions. And so I'll just ask these last questions to all of the panelists while we are waiting for the questions for Mrs. Adefisayo. And so please keep your questions coming on YouTube so that we can share them with Mrs. Adefisayo. And so for Godwin, I mean, Ms. Adefisayo has said a lot, but in addition to what she has shared, what is one commitment each of us should live with today if we are serious about reclaiming Nigeria's learning future?
Thank you, Gideon. I've said set up coming after Mrs. Adefisayo with what she has just said. But thank you, and thank you, Ma, again for what you do. I'm not sure if she has spoken in other institute, but I know she's one of the first persons that I heard in my own institute, and it shaped my head. Even the work that I do going into that school. I think it was in Osun State. I don't know if I'll do it now with what I know. But in terms of commitment, right, all that we've been saying, it leads to one thing. We have a responsibility. Every single one of us on this call, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to speak about education. There's this, I would say, problem that I've always had is when it comes to national development dialogue conversation framing, similar to what I've been saying. Everybody say education is important, education is broken. During the week, there's been a heated conversation on social media, which I'm sure you all know that has been going back and forth, right? And we all blaming education system. But then when it comes to doing the actual work, giving education the importance that it actually deserves beyond saying its education is important, everybody goes silent. So we have a responsibility to speak. We have a responsibility as well. What we endorse and what we promote as a people. We can't value education and we promote other things above education as well. So our second responsibility is what we endorse, what we share, what we advocate for. right? And one thing that I want to point us to as we live here is to think about it. How are you engaging the local government level? Because they have a very, very huge role to play when it comes to education. We focus at the center, both at the national and the state. We often leave the local government hanging. We need some people to fill in that gap, right? So again, we have a responsibility. That's one thing I want us to know at the back of our mind, and directly or indirectly, your action and inaction is endorsing something. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Godwin, for sharing. Your action or inaction is endorsing something. And quickly, Emmanuel, the final question for you as we round off is really, are students failing the system or is the system failing students, and where should responsibility begin? The student failing the system or the system is failing the student, and where should responsibility begin? Thank you, Emmanuel.
And thank you so much for that, Mr. Gideon. I'm really grateful for this. Now, I would say it's a two-way thing. It is both. And number one, and there is a whole lot of failure in the system. And today, the system is failing the student, because when you look at a whole lot of classrooms, a whole lot of government infrastructures, and you see that it is nothing to write home about. No libraries, no laboratories, and talk less of having an equipped laboratory. And so you see that there are a whole lot of policies on paper that does not translate into a physical one, that does not transform into an implemented policies. And this is the realities of this is a reality in a way. So so in so many other places. And when you talked about the underserved communities, under-resourced communities, this is the reality. So I will say that the system is failing the student. But in the other way around, when we talk about the student failing the system, I will say this: we have accepted the expectation. We have accepted that low expectation is normal. It is possible for you to do something and remain below average. And student who does not want to show up, who doesn't want to do things as it ought to be. But there's something I've come to understand, that, and when a teacher who is committed to the course, committed to the life of the student, walk into the classroom, every other thing changes. And I tell you, this is the reality. When every Teach for Nigeria fellow step into that community, it changes everything. It changes the narratives. The student will start believing that, yes, it is possible for academic excellence is possible. I've seen a student who walked up straight to me and he told me, I want to study chemistry. I want to be like you. It is a result of commitment and work over years. And I leave you with this as I close. The system can fail a student. The system can fail a child, but one teacher can break the cycle. One teacher can break the cycle. And when the student rises, they pull up the system to themselves. They pull up the system with themselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And it's been an excellent experience listening to Rofiyat, to you, to Godwin, and just sharing from everything that the questions that we raised and kind of insight and policy conversations that we're having. And so to just close this round before we take the questions for Mrs. Adefisayo, is that Dr. Chinedum, right? What is one commitment each of us should live with today if we are really serious about reclaiming Nigerians' learning future? Dr. Chinedum.
Okay, I can unmute now. I couldn't unmute myself at some point. Thank you. A lot has been said about resources, and these resources are not just about the labs and all that. I think one commitment that we can make, let me now talk as an educator and as a school leader. one commitment we can make is a commitment that comes from the kind of example that Emmanuel has given. That we as educators, irrespective of the fact that the conditions are abysmal, that we must show every student that they are capable of growing, that they are capable of learning. We must show them that the school, when they come into school, that it is a safe haven for them, where we believe in them, we believe in their abilities, we do not look at them as those that cannot learn. We must show them that we believe in the fact that they can learn. And that's exactly what Emmanuel did by teaching those students and going the extra mile to ensure that they are able to write JAM. They just want somebody to believe in them. Already the system has failed them. But within that system, those of us that are sitting in there with them, we need to treat them like people that matter, people that can learn, people that have a future, people that we trust, that they are not those that should be ignored, since everything around them shows that they don't matter. We should show them that they matter by showing up daily, by doing everything within within the limitations that we have, by consistently doing so. That will make a lot of difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinedum, for that powerful commitment that you've shared with us. And now we're going to move to the questions. Thank you so much, everyone. It's such an amazing and rewarding experience listening to us. And I'm sure that we've taken a lot of nuggets. YouTube Live is on fire, especially because it's a burning question. It seems like a burning question, a burning discussion that everyone has been looking forward to having. So, Mrs. Adefisayo, we have a couple of questions for you. The first one is that how can education agencies and parastatals like the Teacher Registration Council of Nigeria champion the cause for better remuneration for teachers? I see this from YouTube, and I think it's a burning question for the individual. How can they champion better remuneration for teachers? Thank you so much, ma'am. And we have a couple of them. I think we have like 3-4 questions for you.
Well, I mean, they've said it. They can't champion. It's their job. It's their duty. They should be able to support that request. It's just that, when you look at teachers' salaries across the country, teachers' salaries across the country, I'm very hesitant to, because, let me say this. Teacher salaries differ considerably across the country. There are some parts of the country, especially even government salaries, because we've seen it in Teach for Nigeria. Because what Teach for Nigeria does is to place fellows in public schools, and then we support their salaries. Some states, what they pay is so low that the support that Teach for Nigeria has to offer is so high. Some states pay more than we expect. And so it's so uneven. And I think it's time for teachers to take control. You see, what happens many times is, I think teaching makes many of us timid. And they're not strong and coming out strong and saying, this is unacceptable. They have a national union of teachers. What are they doing? They should fight this, because it's not just salary. It's also prospects for growth, for promotion, for expansion of their job. There's a paper, that talks about how teachers come in as teacher grade 1, then go into teacher higher levels with higher responsibilities, higher salaries, and so on. But it's not implemented by anybody, and nobody is holding anybody accountable for it. So I think, for me, the unions and so on should the parastatals, they are civil servants, ministry, they are civil servants, they won't fight their employer, but the union, I think it's time that the union took this in hand and just refused to accept the poor treatment of teachers. Because, like I said, they should not just fight for increase in salary. You can increase somebody's salary, it doesn't matter. what if that person stays on that salary for about 5 years? You have seen banks that take people and see their staff that they come in and be tellers. After 5 years, they start getting dissatisfied because they are still earning that salary they earned 5 years ago. So I think, can I put off my photo because it keeps telling me my internet is unstable so that I can talk. So I think it's time for the unions to rise to the task, for all of us to rise to the task as well, to keep talking about it. Career path for teachers, career options, so that they can get to the top. In some states, teachers can actually become permanent secretaries. There are only about 2 or 3 states. I think Lagos, Ogun, I think Oyo or something. They can rise to the position of permanent secretary because here they can't. In most states, they cannot. At most, they'll be director. So if you broaden the career path, make it a more interesting job, promote them as and when due, give them a better conditions, and it's something that people can fight for and not just keep quiet. I've always felt that people should fight for it, but I know who should fight for it, and it's usually in the power of the unions. But many of them, sorry to say, are dealing with politics and not with the welfare of members. Any other question?
Thank you so much, Ma. Yes, we for that powerful statement. It's more than just salaries, the welfareism, basically the total package for teachers. One more question we have for you. Thank you, Ma, for you is that as a parent of a child in a public school, what can I do to support my child for these exams that are mandatory?
Well, the reason I've said it, the reason why better resource schools do better is not because they are clever or they are smarter or more intelligent. No, it's because they have more resources. So as a parent, know that many things that I did for my child, and you can ask anybody, ask Dr. Oluwadamilola, she will tell you to any parent sacrifices. So you make the sacrifice. Even if you can't do lesson teacher, do online, use your phone. They can do online classes. They can do past questions. You can get past questions. You can team up with some people. I've seen people team up, a group of maybe 6 parents, and they call somebody to come and help the children. So you just use as many opportunities as possible so that even when they get home, there are opportunities for them to learn. But the most key thing about this exam, I don't like teaching to the test, but in this situation, we have no choice, really. You have to help them with past question papers. You have to help them do, like I said, practice consistently and constantly. And I think that is what any parent should do. Just invest in this. When I was running a public school outside Lagos State, I begged the parents, I said, give me your child. I know after school, she goes to Hawk. After school, he goes to his boss in mechanic. But give me this year. Just give me this year. We'll close school late, do extra lessons, do this, do that. And you know that I have some of them who did well beyond their own expectations. Because like Emmanuel said, they listened to their teachers. They were ready to listen. They were ready to be, they did not allow peer influence to peer pressure to influence them. And anyway, I want to tell parents too, if there's any way you can support your school with leadership training and so on, it helps the children move away from peer pressure, bad behavior, and so on, and narrows the path for them into a right place and supports them with their growth. I don't know if I've made sense, but as a parent, please sacrifice, do whatever you can. Get photocopies. If you can't buy it new, find people who will give you photocopies. But invest personally in your child's doing well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. And everyone around is just saying this has been an amazing session. Thank you so much. And just before the CEO of Teach for Nigeria, Molade Adeniyi, just close us out with closing remarks, because I'm very sure that, yes, she must have some burning things to share just after listening to our keynote speaker and also to our panelists. I just wanted to say that this conversation does not end now. Please, whatever you've taken, lessons you've taken away, burning questions or reflection that you still have, continue to engage us across all social media platforms at Teach for Nigeria, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and just even on YouTube also, to sharing your thoughts as we continue through the month of May, discussing how we must urgently reclaim Nigeria's learning future through excellent and quality education. And that's what we stand for at Teach for Nigeria, ensuring that one day, working towards one day where every child has access to quality education. And yeah, thank you so much. And I'm hearing that, oh yes, okay, I have the singular honor to say thank you so much. It's been an amazing conversation. If there's something you've taken out from this session, just drop it in the comment already. We can see your live comment on YouTube. Something you're taking forward from this, trying to say that, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing next, whether as a student, as a teacher, as a school owner, as a policy maker, or even as a non-governmental organization or as a policy worker, working to provide access to quality education to every Nigerian child. So drop those reflections in the chat and continue to engage this conversation. And on behalf of the management of Teach for Nigeria, I want to specifically thank our co-founder, our founding co-founder, as well as board member at Teach for Nigeria, Mrs. Folasade Adeniyi, Mrs. Folasade Adefisayo, for gracing us with your presence with this, and also just sharing passionately, especially because you said you wanted to not want to say anything about this conversation before. But when that invitation came, you were like, oh yes, this must be discussed. Thank you for being vulnerable, for being straightforward, for being direct with all of those things that you shared with us. We've taken some lessons as an organization, and we'll continue to work with our state partners to ensure that things and the process continues to improve. And also, I must thank our panelists, starting from Rofiyat. Rofiyat shared so passionately, and our CEO has, clamored that you contest for the president of Nigeria. So, Rofiyat, we are rooting for you. Whenever you are ready to, take that challenge and, just contest for president of Nigeria, know that I will be campaigning for you if I'm still alive at that point. But thank you so much for joining this conversation, for sharing from your experiences, from all of the things you've learned, even while preparing and juggling a lot of things with life, with education, and still ensuring that you get excellent grades in your school. Also to our fellow Emmanuel Agbaje, thank you for repping Teach for Nigeria. Even while serving in underserved communities, you represent an example of what we demand, right, from our fellows, from young people that we place in schools. And so it's so refreshing because we also have prospective fellows some of them are currently engaging in the final evaluation, who are joining the core. And I'm sure that they've taken some lessons and some motivation to see what is obtainable when they eventually get into the fellowship and are placed in the schools that we serve. And to our community and alumni voice for the evening, I must also say thank you so much for being direct with your answers, for saying yes to this, and also joining this conversation. And I know because you have a lot of things doing at the moment, but yes, you said this is dear to you and you were going to be around. Thank you for it. And to our doctor, right, with over 30 years of experience leading and changing the educational landscape in Nigeria, Dr. Chinedum Oluwadamilola, thank you for the time. Thank you for the powerful insights and for contributing to this conversation. And to all of our audience on Zoom, on YouTube, thank you so much for your comments, for sharing this with your community, and also for just engaging and ensuring that you are invested in ensuring that we reclaim Nigeria's learning future. And at this point, as your moderator for the evening, I say it's been an amazing experience. I'm wishing you a lovely weekend. Happy Friday. Please take some rest, even as you have some time with your loved ones and families. Bye for now. See you in the next Teach for Nigeria YouTube live series. Thank you for attending our Student Leadership YouTube live session today. Bye. Thank you so much, everyone.